Here in December in New England, it's getting a little chilly out, but at least we have a sunny day, and I want to talk to you today about maximizing your retirement accounts. Now, these could be your 401ks or your IRAs. What we really want to do is make sure we're putting the maximum dollars in there. Now, I'm not saying to save an extra $1,000 and not spend it on Christmas or the holiday season. What I am saying is if you haven't maxed your accounts yet, to look around at either maybe you have a brokerage account or maybe you just have extra savings and checking account. Maybe you've carried a balance all year, a little bit more than you've needed. Maybe you can find that extra $1,000 to put into your retirement accounts, and that can make a massive difference. Now, if you've already maxed out your retirement accounts, pat yourself on the back, that is great. But if you haven't, you still got a few weeks here for the employer retirement accounts, or you have all the way until the end of the tax year in April for your personal IRAs. And I want to go through a little bit of math today to show you why this can make a very big impact. So let's say you haven't maxed out your accounts yet, and you can find an extra $1,000, just $1,000 from either a brokerage account that you have that's a taxable account, or just sitting in your checking and savings. You've carried a balance all year. You can find an extra $1,000 that you're comfortable putting into a retirement account. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use a 5% compound rate of return for this example. If the rate of return going forward is more than that, the boost is going to be even bigger. Okay, so let's say 5% rate of return. For $1,000 in 20 years time, you'll end up with about $2,800. Okay, $1,000 now, 20 years from now, 5%, $2,800. Okay, that's without taxes taken into account. Okay, which is a big deal. Now, let's break down that rate, the 5% into a 2% dividend and a 3% growth. Okay, that's important because if your $1,000 is sitting in a brokerage account invested in an ETF or mutual fund growing at 5%, okay, and there's a throwing off dividends, they get taxed every year. All right, whereas the growth only gets taxed when you finally sell it after 20 years in this example. So now we have that $1,000 growing in a brokerage account, and you're getting the growth at 3% and dividends at 2%. So the dividends is $20, but that's getting taxed each year, and they're normally qualified dividends. So instead of keeping the whole $20, you only get to keep $17. It's taxed at 15% if it's a qualified dividend. So now you don't get to keep the whole $20. You only get to keep $17 in that first year. Now, $3 doesn't sound like a big deal. It's not a big deal, but it does add up over time. And remember, this is just a $1,000 example. All right, so each year the dividends are getting taxed. And so after 20 years, your $1,000 in a taxable account grows to just over $2,400. At the end, you've got to pay a 15% gain on the growth when you go and finally sell that mutual fund or ETF, and you've paid 15% on the qualified dividends each year, which does add to your cost basis. So at the end, all of that is getting taxed. The government wants their money, so it's at $1,000, 20 years, it grew to just over $2,400. So there's your $1,000 today that you said, nah, I didn't max out my retirement accounts. I'm just keeping it in my brokerage and invest it in my taxable account. That's what you get in 20 years. Instead, let's max out your retirement accounts. Let's take that $1,000 and get it into a Roth. Okay, if we get it into Roth, now we're comparing $1,000 in the taxable, $1,000 in the Roth. Same thing. Now the whole 5% you're going to get to keep. All right, you're going to keep all that 5%. The growth you're going to keep, and the dividends, all right, tax-free dividend growth. You get the whole 5%. So at the end of 20 years, you get the whole $2,800. The whole $2,800. So by taking a few minutes today, a couple of clicks to get it in your IRA, or call in your HR department, get an extra $1,000 into your retirement account, you took your $1,000, just gained over $300 on that. All right, that's massive for spending, how long did it take you? 15 minutes of time to do that? And you've almost doubled that money, all right, what you get to keep. Now, if it's a 401k, it's a little more complicated, but you can think of it the same way. In a 401k, the difference is instead of $1,000 that you're going to invest, you're going to invest it pre-tax. So you can invest, say, $1,300, because $1,300 at a 24% tax bracket is equal to your $1,000 that's sitting in your savings account. That's been sitting there all year. Okay, and you've had extra, take that $1,000, call your employer, say, put in $1,300 more into my retirement account. The $1,300 grows tax-free, all right, for 20 years at the 5% rate, At the end, you're over $3,000, but then you have to pay taxes on it. All right, and so it comes out of your account, you pay, say you're still in the 24% tax bracket, which you'll probably be less because now you're retired, but say you're still in the 24%, you still get $2,800. Again, over $300 more than you'd get if it was just sitting in a brokerage account. Sorry for all the math and all the numbers, okay? Here's the simple concept. Take your $1,000, get it into a retirement account, okay? If you have an extra $1,000 in a brokerage or you have an extra $1,000 sitting in your checking or savings, make sure you're maxing your retirement accounts because it's gonna make a big difference over the long run. So make sure you do that this year, right here at the end of the year. Call up the HR department, a couple clicks to get it into your IRA. Have an awesome day.